With 27 completely different neighborhoods to choose from, San Mateo pretty much has something for everybody. So I'm gonna share with you a little bit about my top neighborhoods in San Mateo that I think are way underrated. Now, I grew up and was raised in San Mateo County, and in my view, these are just a few of the most underrated places to live in San Mateo. If you wanna see more content like this about San Mateo and San Mateo County in general, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That really helps me grow the channel, and I super appreciate it. Okay, with that out of the way, let's check out some neighborhoods first. So the first neighborhood I'm excited to talk to you about is Hillsdale, the Lanes, and that's where I am now. This is a really cool pocket. It's just north of Hillsdale Boulevard, east of Alameda, west of El Camino, and kind of more just south of 92. So this area is part of the San Mateo Terrace Beresford neighborhood, but this little pocket, Hillsdale, the Lanes, is called the Lanes because of the streets. So there's Briar Lane, Arbor Lane, Louise Lane, and a couple others. And they're really popular because they have cul-de-sacs, kind of like right behind me, you can see we're on a cul-de-sac. You have a park here, and that's in the cul-de-sac. And then 2 streets over there, there's another cul-de-sac, and there's another park behind it. So if you just walk in here, you have the park that goes all the way down to several cul-de-sacs. So kind of no matter where you are in this little pocket of the Lanes, it's pretty cool. So if you have kids, just say, hey, walk over to the park and walk around. It's kind of nice. And these lots are all in pretty normal sizes, so you already have a pretty good sized backyard. But if you still want to go in here and have a birthday party or bounce house or just throw the ball around or frisbee, like I think that's pretty cool. And that's kind of why I feel this area is super underrated. Not everyone knows about it, but it's not hidden from a pricing standpoint. So for homes in the Lanes, you're kind of gonna be starting around high 1s and then kind of go up to about low 3s. So it's not a huge amount compared to some other neighborhoods like Baywood or San Mateo Park, but compared to some others in San Mateo, it's very reasonably priced, especially for what you get. Just around me, you can see like almost all these homes have been redone recently. Certainly see some older homes with some more character, but a lot of these, I really love the floor plans here because you have an attached garage. They're almost all ranch style homes. And even if you buy like an original ranch style home, even if you're in Burlingame or San Carlos, for example, the floor plans are fantastic because you have that attached garage. They're also fantastic because the kitchen usually opens to the backyard. Usually we'll have 2 or 3 bedrooms on one side of the house, and then you have the kitchen, living, dining room on another part. And again, I know I'm talking about the garage, but that is a huge selling point because you could go spend $5-6 million on a home, say in Burlingame or in other towns, and you have a detached garage in your backyard, which basically takes up like 1/3 to 1/2 of the yard. So even if you're over in the Lanes with a 5,000 or 6,000 square foot lot, but you have an attached garage, it's kind of the best of everything because then you get a normal sized lot and a good backyard. In terms of pricing for the Hillsdale neighborhood and kind of the Lanes in particular, median sales price is about $2.1 million, average is about the same, and the lowest sale in the last year was $1.8 million, and the highest sale was about $2.6 million. So the range in here is kind of about high 1s, kind of depending on the year, but it could get up to about 3. The next neighborhood I want to talk to you about is kind of Parkside and Shoreview. So this is east of 101. It's south of Coyote Point and just kind of north and south of 3rd Avenue. So obviously 3rd Avenue is in downtown, but 3rd Avenue also extends east of 101. Shoreview and Parkside, I'm putting this in this group because a lot of people don't think about this. And when you look at pricing here, you're kind of going to be about 1.1 to like 1.6, 1.7. So these are more like starter prices. I know very expensive, but more like starter prices for San Mateo. And it's really comparable because people who are looking in say South San Francisco and Daly City and San Bruno, they're going to kind of be a similar price point. This is maybe like 5 to 10% a little pricier, but I think you get really good value here because compared to the more northern areas, the weather is going to be like night and day different. One drawback of the Shoreview and Parkside neighborhood is because it's east of 101, kind of like Foster City and Redwood Shores, it's highly engineered, compacted landfill, or basically just landfill. And that means that land was originally part of the San Francisco Bay. And then a long time ago, I think it was back like 40s, 50s, when they started building out the neighborhood, they basically came in and they kind of added a lot of dirt and whatever else they added. And so they basically filled in that part of the bay. So you think about from a liquefaction perspective, that's not great. But in my view nowadays, it's kind of like pick the natural hazard that you're okay being exposed to. Sadly, I'm not proud to say that, but nowadays you could be up in the hills and you'd be in a high fire hazard zone. You could be in an inundation area. I had a client looking at a home recently in Hillsborough around the $8 to $10 million price point, and it was in the dam inundation area. That just means if Crystal Springs Dam in an earthquake, that's all where all of the water stored for the county. If that were to break, then where the water would flow. So it's not great. great, but like every area does have some type of risk. And so if you are buying east of 101, that's just something that you want to be aware of. But in terms of what do I love about the neighborhood, kind of like in the last neighborhood I was talking about in Hillsdale, the Lanes, Shoreview, Parkside, you're going to see a lot of ranch style homes, almost all one-level houses. So it's pretty unusual to see a two-level house. Why is that? Because the area, most homes I believe are required to have flood insurance. FEMA has prohibited building a second story. And so I believe they're in the process right now of rezoning that area and removing that FEMA requirement. And if that happens, we're going to start to see a lot of two-story homes pop up. We'll see more ADUs, and I think we'll start to see values really boost in the neighborhood. The other thing that I really like about Shoreview and Parkside is the Bay Trail. So it is super popular. It's the top of the list for a lot of people who enjoy going for a walk. The other big area would be Crystal Springs Reservoir in San Mateo. But then the Bay Trail, it basically goes from Burlingame all the way down through Redwood Shores in like one continuous loop. Foster City just finished a major upgrade to the levee system. It was a $90 million project. San Mateo was doing a lot of work kind of just south of Coyote Point. And now you can just go in one stretch. You can ride your bike or you can walk all the way down from one place to the other. So if you're in Shoreview Parkside, you're kind of in the heart of that because you can easily pop out to Seal Point Park. There's an amazing dog park in Seal Point that I've been there quite a few times. And there's great hiking. And there's also a great trail that can take you to the top of Seal Point Park. My understanding, Seal Point Park used to be a garbage dump back in the day. And then there was a big process that went into place to kind of clean it up. And they made it totally friendly for people and safe to be out there. And so there is a really nice stair that you can climb all the way up to the top. And that's great for exercise. The other thing I really like about Shoreview Parkside is there's quite a few parks. So Ryder Park is my favorite. There's a little water feature where kids can run through on hot days. And it's just a really relaxed, laid back vibe. I really love the location of Shoreview Parkside because of the easy freeway access from 3rd Avenue and also kind of right by 92 and 101. So if you work in the Valley, you can very easily pop down there. If you work up in South San Francisco and biotech, it's again pretty easy to pop on 101. So I just think that area is super underrated. And for a lot of people who are starting out in like the low to mid $1 million range, Shoreview and Parkside is absolutely going to be at the top of your list when you're kind of comparing it to South City and San Bruno and Daly City. The next neighborhood I'm excited to talk to you about is the Laurelwood neighborhood. Now this is just right up on the hill, just south of 92, east of 280, kind of like in that little pocket up there. It's very conveniently located to 280. So for people who have to commute, that neighborhood and another one that we'll be talking about shortly, they're at the top of a lot of people's lists. But if you want to get down to 101, you're looking at like 3-4 minutes. So it's like really not that big a deal. Okay, let me share with you what is pricing like in Laurelwood. So at the low end, we're kind of starting out at about mid ones. And then at the high end, we're about 3 million, but the median's about 2.1 and average is about $2.2 million. So in San Mateo, it's like a pretty good sweet spot because a lot of these homes, they're 2-story homes and they have attached garages. They have good sized yards because a lot of them aren't in the like original neighborhoods in San Mateo, like Baywood, San Mateo Park. They're a little bit more on the newer side. And by new, it's not 10, 20 years old, but these are still like 30, 40, 50 years old. You're gonna get some really awesome floor plans. You're not necessarily gonna have a washer and dryer on the second floor, which you'll see like in Foster City and Redwood Shores and new construction homes like west of 101, but you're still gonna get a kitchen that opens to the backyard most likely. You're gonna get a dining room, you're gonna get a family room. So, I mean, these are very basic things, but like the floor plans that you have here, it's not like you're gonna go in and you're gonna say, oh, I need to take out all these walls. The floor plans already are really sought after. The other thing that I really like about Laurelwood is if you're shopping, you don't have to go all the way down to downtown San Mateo. Of course, there's online grocery delivery services and Instacart and all that, but you're really close to Crystal Springs Village. You're close to Laurelwood Shopping Center, which has a great grocery store there. So you're kind of convenient to stuff and you don't have to feel obligated, even though you're like up in the hills, that you have to go down the hill. The other thing I really like about the neighborhood is Laurelwood Canyon. So there's a really awesome park there. Went to kids' birthday parties there for our son, and it's just a relaxing spot to go. You do have self-service, but once you're in the park, it doesn't really feel like you can, I mean, you can see some homes kind of up on the ridge, but once you're in there, it just feels like you're in the middle of nowhere and hiking amidst the trees, and it's just something that I find really relaxing. Also, right next to Laurelwood is another little pocket called Sugarloaf. Sugarloaf is a few hundred homes, master planned, several decades old, but it's not master planned like Foster City and Redwood Shores where it's like just huge communities. Sugarloaf is on the smaller side and it has a few different cul-de-sacs with some downslopes. Part of the neighborhood is level, some is kind of like a little bit more hilly. On the negative, it does mean that you get a little bit more wind that's coming in if you're in the backyard, but again, that's kind of comes with canyon living and it's not a huge deal, but just something that you should know if you are thinking about Sugarloaf. What I love about Sugarloaf is you get really, really good value in here because all the homes are single family attached homes. So it's kind of a fancy phrase for just saying like, they're kind of like townhomes, but they're the size of homes. So you get really high ceilings. You do have a 2-car attached garage, really open floor plans. The backyards are on the smaller side than you're gonna get in most other neighborhoods in San Mateo. They're more like patios with a little yard area, which is fine because if you're into something that's a little bit lower maintenance and you don't want to deal with all that, like why have a big yard if it's not something that you appreciate? So I think that's a nice selling point about Sugarloaf, and folks I've helped out who have bought homes there, I don't think I've resold any of those. They've been super happy. The other thing I like about homes in Sugarloaf is on the second level, there's usually an open loft area. So you kind of go up the stairs, you have a loft area where that could be a family room, it could be work from home space. And then you usually have 3 bedrooms up there too. You don't have a washer dryer usually on the second floor, but that's okay. Usually that's reserved more for like new construction homes, since that's like a more modern thing, like in the last like 5 to 15 years, I would say, where builders are kind of putting those in. For pricing in Sugarloaf, you get really good value in here. Like, it's kind of hard to find something else this good in my view for something that's more like this townhouse style, but a huge house. And you're kind of looking at about 1.5 to 1.8, 1.9 million dollars. Rare to see something like right around 2, just because it's a single family attached. The price doesn't go a lot higher. So if you're kind of like thinking sub $2 million is your budget and you want something that's more like 1,700 to 1,900 square feet with 3 bedrooms and work from home space, like, it's kind of hard to find anything better than this, in my opinion, on the peninsula. So the next hidden gem on my list is Batesford Park. I just love this neighborhood. So Batesford Park is named after the park itself. So there is Batesford Park, which I'll talk about in a sec. But the whole area, it's like Batesford Park and San Mateo Terrace, which are kind of paired together from my perspective, which is kind of south of 92, both sides east and west of Alameda de las Polias, we just call it Alameda, and then west of El Camino. And then it kind of goes up to the western part, like kind of like where it starts getting a little bit hilly. There's only a few blocks where you see some rolling hills, but basically the neighborhood's pancake flat. So let me talk about Batesford Park itself. Batesford Park has bocce ball courts, has a skate park, has its own community garden, which has a waiting list for many years, is my understanding, just to get in there. It's just a really cool place. Again, I've been to birthday parties there, and the playground was just recently redone. The city has put a lot of money into the park, just making it like a top destination. I mean, I feel like I'm an amusement park, but it is a pretty cool spot, and a lot of people in the neighborhood do love going to Batesford Park. And I think it's just a really convenient location. Again, kind of like Sugarloaf and Laurelwood, because it's so close to 92, you're kind of equidistant in the neighborhood from 101 and also 280. So it's really convenient if you're kind of commuting north, south, 101, 280, it's not really a big deal. Most of the homes in Batesford Park are going to be one level. However, we're starting to see over the last 5 to 10 years, people popping up second stories. So for pricing in Batesford Park, it has shot up quite a bit in the last few years as people have started to discover this fantastic neighborhood and found it a little bit more affordable than Baywood and Aragon, which is just on the northern side of 92. So maybe like a 2 or 3 minute drive. That's why Batesford Park is kind of at the top of my list. I think it's a little underrated from that perspective because it's totally flat. It's totally walkable. I love in Batesford Park that you're so close to Hillsdale Shopping Center. So you don't feel like it unless you're within a block or 2 of the mall itself. It's a big structure, of course, but otherwise you can take advantage of being so close to it. Sure, you might not be going to Nordstrom every day or Macy's every day, but there's an Apple store, there's an amazing food court, there's Pinstripes Bowling Alley. Like, it is a pretty fun destination to go and relax and get some really good food there. I just went to Flores, a really good Mexican place there with my wife a few weeks ago, and I was like really impressed. Now let me just give you a quick sense for the types of homes that you can get in Batesford Park. So you're gonna see a lot of one-level homes, but over the last few years, we've seen people really investing heavily into their homes there. So you're gonna see a lot of newer 2-story homes, new construction. I sold a couple of those homes kind of in the $3 million and up range. So it is an expensive neighborhood, and you see some lots that are like 7,000 to 7,500 square feet, but most in the neighborhood are kind of be 5,000 to 6,000 square feet, which is totally normal, and that most people are very happy with that lot size. And then pricing in Batesford Park, at the low end, you're looking about $1.4 million. The high end, you're about $3.8 million, at least for sales prices in the last year. Median, though, is going to be smack in the middle at about $2 million, $2.1 million, and the average is going to be about $2,165,000. So I wouldn't say that's a good representation when you think about median or average, but if you're looking to be in this neighborhood, more like a 2-bedroom house is going to kind of start like in the mid to high 1s. A 3-bedroom is going to be like in the low 2s to high 2s. I just sold a home on 31st Avenue. That was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath off market for about $2.5 million. Now it's 1,500 square feet with a beautiful kitchen and family room that opened directly into the yard. And there's a possibility of adding an ADU down the road, and had a 2-car attached garage. And I thought that was a really good buy in the mid 2s. So the next neighborhood on my list of hidden gems in San Mateo is the Highlands neighborhood. Many people have driven past the Highlands, but maybe not even thought about it. So the Highlands is a pretty cool pocket, has 900 homes that were all kind of developed like in the 60s or so by a developer named Joseph Eichler. There's about 10,000 Eichlers throughout the state, but you have about 10% of them are concentrated in this one little pocket in San Mateo. Now, what's interesting about Eichlers, usually people either love them and they completely fall in love with these cool homes, or they're like, hey, that's less my style. What's really interesting about the Eichlers, because they kind of grew up during this modernism moment where it was like looking inward with your family. There was no like exterior windows facing the street. You'd usually have a 2-car attached garage, and then inside there'd be a courtyard atrium. But if not, for some of the floor plans that didn't, actually all the floor plans had walls of glass in the whole back of the property. balcony, so you kind of brought the indoors in. So from the street, you couldn't really see into the house, but you could see into the backyard. And that, I think, was a pretty innovative concept at the time. And you certainly see modern homes, even that are built nowadays, they certainly incorporate those features. So Eichler homes, they're known to generally be not the best built and the best quality homes because they kind of built them. They started for like around $10,000 back in the day, and they built them with like pretty affordable construction materials. So if you're looking to buy an Eichler today, just know you might not be getting the best quality, but that's okay because a lot of people are going in and they're redoing these homes, taking them down to the studs because there's like a huge cult following. People absolutely love the Eichlers, and personally, I'm a huge fan. I love modern homes. I like the style of architecture. I love that walls of glass feel, but sure, if you're buying an older home like this and it's original, you have little kids, you just have to remember with those walls of glass, they're not tempered glass, it's not safety glass, so there's things that you want to do. The other interesting thing about homes in the Highlands, because they're Eichlers, they all have radiant heat. Radiant heat, in my opinion, is the best type of heating because you're not blowing air all around the house, you have allergies, whatever. Like that's central forced air, that's like standard practice. Almost everyone has forced air, even if you don't have air conditioning. But because you have the radiant heat in the floors, it just kind of runs water through a boiler in the garage. The water gets heated up, it goes in the floor, and then the heat kind of comes up. When we did a project for our house a few years ago, we actually installed radiant heat. And it wasn't inexpensive, but I'm so grateful that we have it at our house because when you walk on it during the wintertime, it just feels like a really even heat and it reduces kind of air that's blowing around the house. The other cool thing about the Highlands neighborhood, it has its own elementary school, Highlands Elementary. There's also the Highlands Recreation Center, which has a pool and some other cool features. So the Highlands in general, if you kind of live right there, you don't really need to leave. I mean, sure, you're really close to 280. If that's of importance to you, you're close to 92 again, but you're also really close to Crystal Springs Village, which is the shopping center, has a Safeway, has a few really good restaurants. So again, you don't really have to go too far, even if you're up on the hill. A lot of times people think, oh, if I'm up on the hill, I'm like so far from stuff. And my view is, yes, you can't walk to downtown San Mateo, you can't walk to other parts like the mall, but just by being up the hill, if you get in your car and you drive 5 minutes, like that's totally not a big deal at all to me. For pricing in the Highlands, the lowest sales price in the last year was $1,975,000, and the most expensive sale was over $4.2 million, with a median of about $2.5 million and an average sales price of also $2.5 million. So that's kind of the sweet spot. Within that range, obviously that's a huge range. Most Eichlers are going to be about 1,400 to 2,000 square feet. You're not seeing 1,100 square foot 2-bedroom starter homes like Eichlers there. That doesn't really exist. You're not seeing 4 and 5 bedroom homes that are 3,000 square feet. They're kind of all in that like 1,000 something square foot range. So if you're looking for a massive home, this neighborhood's not going to check the box. These are all 1-level homes. So because of that, there's just a ceiling for how high the price can go, but people will pay top dollar for an Eichler that's completely redone, and they're just really stellar homes with great floor plans. All right, the next neighborhood I'm really excited to share with you about hidden gems in San Mateo, in my view, is the Sunnybrae neighborhood. Sunnybrae is at the top of a lot of people's lists once we kind of get into the process and people learn a little bit more about it. Sunnybrae is very close to downtown San Mateo. It's west of 101, it's north of 92, and then within it has another pocket called 19th Avenue Park, which actually has a collection of Eichlers. But Sunnybrae homes, they're mostly 1-level ranch style homes. There's also a number of 2-story homes that have popped up in the last like 10 to 20 years as well. Pricing in Sunnybrae is going to kind of be median price about $1.7 million, average sales price again about $1.7 million. The low in the last year was about $1.2 million, and the high was about $2.2 million. So you have a range of about $1 million, and within that, what's the difference? Okay, you're going to see 2 bedrooms are going to kind of start kind of mid ones, and a 3 bedroom is going to kind of be higher ones, and then occasional 4 bedroom that could be around low 2s, but most of the neighborhood are 2 and 3 bedroom homes, kind of in the mid 1s to like low 2s. That's kind of the sweet spot for the neighborhood. I really like the location of Sunnybrae because you can walk to downtown San Mateo. The streets are really pretty, especially Birch and Grant. These are just 2 of my favorite spots in there, but it's not a big neighborhood, and so that's why a lot of people might not be familiar with it. But if you're kind of looking to be sub $2 million for a really cute home on the peninsula, Sunnybrae is probably going to be an area that you want to focus on too. As I was mentioning, we do have 19th Avenue Park, which has a little collection of a few dozen Eichlers, so it's like a mini version of the San Mateo Highlands in a different location. Another similarity kind of between these 2 neighborhoods is you have Sunnybrae Elementary School right in the neighborhood, and then also Burrell Middle School is close by, and Aragon High School is also pretty close by. Oh, and in case you're wondering, the Eichlers in the 19th Avenue Park neighborhood are a lot less pricey than the Eichlers in the Highlands. You're kind of looking like $1.5 to $2 million. Okay, so for the last neighborhood on my hidden gems list for the city of San Mateo, I want to talk to you guys about Edgewater Isle. This is pretty cool because it's on the water, so we're kind of in this little nook in between east of 101 and south of 92. Most people, when they think of Edgewater Isle, they actually think it's part of Foster City, but it really is part of the city of San Mateo. So it kind of feels a little bit like Redwood Shores, but also because it's in Foster City and it's all based on a lagoon, it just has that nice nice wide water feel. So some of the units that are pretty close to 92, you do get a little noise. So I'm less a fan of some of those, but as long as you're at least like a few hundred feet away from 92, I just love those units there. These are all townhome style. So usually 2-story with an attached garage. So you can kind of pull in, go into the kitchen, go upstairs. A lot of these have views on the wide water. Some do not have views there, but that's okay. It's a really awesome place just to go for a walk around. And it also kind of connects to the Bay Trail and walking around the whole lagoon area. So that's kind of why I like it. From a pricing perspective, you're kind of looking anywhere from like low ones to mid to higher $1 million range. But I like this because if you're looking for a townhome, if you're interested in a single family home, this is not going to check the box, and go get a more expensive home in a more expensive neighborhood, or you can get a home at a similar price point, kind of east of 101, the Shoreview Parkside neighborhood that I was talking about earlier. Pricing in here though is going to kind of be like the mid ones and lower. So you get really good value. Again, something to think about. You are on landfill, be aware of that. I also love the location of Edgewater Isle because you're so close to Foster City. You're close to Bridgepoint Shopping Center where there's tons of shopping options, dining options. You have Target, you have Home Depot, you have Costco nearby. I know these aren't sexy businesses, but everyone loves them. So it's just a really convenient location right there. So there you have it. San Mateo has a ton of amazing neighborhoods. And like I said, there's 27 neighborhoods, and I just had to pick a handful that I felt were hidden gems that you might not be aware of. So we're gonna continue this. We're gonna share a lot more videos with you, but that's where we are for today. If you're thinking about buying a home or selling a home in San Mateo County, I'd love to be your Peninsula real estate resource of choice. Drop me a note, give me a call, and I'll see you guys in the next video.